Hey everyone, how you doing today? My name's Kirsty, aka Beth Bookish, and on today's video I am bringing you 5 years, 5 books. First of all, I apologise, the lighting is crabby because it's like gone 9 o'clock, there is no more natural lighting outside, and I'm just kind of trying to pre-record as many things as possible because after tomorrow it's gonna be pretty non-stop, so I need to pre-film as much as I can. So I do apologise, but you're just gonna have to do it. The 5 year, 5 book challenge is what I'm calling this. The original idea came from Ellie from Earl Grey Books, where she chose 5 books that she wanted to get to next year. And the way she did it, she chose 1 book from each of the previous years, so 2024, 3, 2, 1, 0, and chose 1 book from each of those years to clear off her shelves. And I thought that was a fantastic idea. So I've kind of come up with the same... Ooh, there's a ghost! Ah!
Trying to be quiet.
Oh no, you're like in frame. I am keeping that in. Anyway, my battery is about to die again. And I just thought it was a fantastic concept. And I was like, I have got so many books on my shelves that I've had for far too long. And a few of them have even been on self-destruct lists, but then I've not gotten rid of them. So I thought next year, as I've done in my reading journal and as I've explained in my video where I've talked through all of the reading challenges I'm doing this year, I thought I would do more yearly challenges this year than I normally would do and do less sort of monthly things. So yeah, I thought it was a fantastic idea. I decided to kind of do it and do the same thing. And it's just, that's just what I'm calling it, 5 years, 5 books. Getting into it, the book that I have chosen for 2020 is The Grim Company by Luke Scull. You guys have probably seen this on multiple videos. We're not going to be ashamed. We're just going to admit that it's one that has been on my shelf for too long. I'm intimidated by how big and chunky this book is. It is, the one I've got is like this thick. It's like nearly 700 pages or something stupid. It's got smallish writing. It's an epic fantasy series. It's a male author epic fantasy series. So it's all stuff that I generally am nervous about. I've also got an ARC version of it, so it's like even more cool and it looks awesome, but it's also even more chunky because of it. And so yeah, I picked it up randomly. I've never gotten to it, but I know I'm intrigued by it. I am considering trying to get an audiobook of it so I can like give it a try. So if Libby or any other sort of library system that I'm with has got it, I will pick up the audio, or if Spotify, if it's under 14 hours, I doubt it, but if it is, I'll get it on Spotify if I can. So I'm going to have a look, see if I can get an audiobook without giving up one of my Audible credits, but I would really like to get to it. It is basically like a world where the gods have disappeared or have taken over. I can't remember. But it's basically like a band of people who would never normally band together end up as a group to take over this big bad evil. And it's kind of got all of the elements of the things that I like. But I think it also has dragons. But if it does, obviously dragons is another one of those things that I'm very hit or miss about. So I'm like, not really sure about this one. For 2021, we have got Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. Now, I did start this one. I did get the first chapter done. And at the time, I can't remember what else I was reading, but I was reading something else that had similar vibes, and I decided to put this one down to focus on that. But I've really enjoyed everything that I've read from Margaret Rogerson. Like, obviously, Enchantment of Ravens was a 3-star, but Sorcery of Thorns was a 5. And so I do want to give more of her work a go. So I figure now is the time to do that. I also think I have the audiobook somewhere. I need to check, but I'm pretty sure I do also have the audiobook. So I can do that. And it's set in a convent where I think it's like there is magic, and basically one of the nuns ends up being possessed by a demon and now has to work with this demon to uncover who is destroying and trying to kill the other nuns at this nunnery. There's like raven familiars, which, you know, I love ravens, and it's got that kind of clergy aspect. It's got the undead, it's got demons, it's got raven familiars, it's got everything that I should love. So I don't know why I've been putting it off. So that is what I'm going to go for 2021. For 2022, it's time I get to an arc of a book, and that is The Song That Moves the Sun by Anna Bright. I know part of my reluctance for this is because I read The Beholder by her, which was one of my very first, if not my very first Fairy Loot book. And I remember being a little bit underwhelmed. And even though I've had it on my want to read the series, it's been 4 years since, or 5 years, nearly 6 since I read it, and I'm still no closer to picking it up than I was 6 years ago. So now I'm starting to think, And it's like, even though this is her second book, it features time travel, or at least dual timelines, which are both things that I don't typically go for. But it also revolves around sort of celestial stuff, and it's got astrology in it, which I am interested in. It's one that I feel like, again, I read the first chapter and then I put it down and haven't gone back to it. And again, that's something I wanted to focus on with this challenge, is maybe go to books that I think I've tried or that I've started and I now need to complete. I don't really remember anything else about this book, and have I looked up any of the blurbs before I've gotten to this? Obviously not, it's me. When do I ever do anything that's properly planned? It was an arc that was sent to me, and it was one that released in 2022, and I did start it with the intention of getting it done, but I do remember I went through, it was either a health crisis or a mental health crisis at that time, and I just kind of didn't want to read, and then I just never went back to it. So I would like to try and get to that. Another one that I didn't get a full arc of, but I did get a sampler of at Yauk in 2022, and I have had this as one of my most hyped books for over 2 years now, and I still have not gotten to the damn book, despite the fact that it's now won awards. From the first chapter, I was like, this is going to be 5 stars, and that is Gwen and Art Are Not in Love by Lex Croucher. I got the sampler at Yauk. I read it on the train on the way home, and despite the fact that unknowingly I had COVID at that time and was the most poorly I think I'd felt in years, I just was laughing so hard. This is a queer kind of, it's not Gwen and Art as in the real Gwen and Arthur, it's like their descendants, they're like related to them. They've got an arranged marriage, only Art is in love with a guy, Gwen is in love with a girl, so they're now kind of helping each other to cover up their queerness by being, so it's like even though they're in an arranged marriage, they don't love each other, they're in love with the same gender, and it's just chaos. And there's like a knight's tournament where her love interest is in the tournament and things. And it just kind of, yeah, it gives me like queer Robin Hood vibe and Maid Marian vibes based off of that, as well as like obviously Guinevere and Arthur. So it does sound funny. And the first chapter when I read the sampler was just so good. Like it opened with her waking up from a very specific kind of dream, and I just could not stop laughing, and it just sounded like it was going to be such a fun book. And I think that because I enjoyed the sampler so much, I've just been intimidated out of reading it, and now it's won like the Young Adult Award Book of the Year, and like Gavin was saying how much he loved it, and I'm like, oh god, it's just now got so much pressure behind it that I'm scared. But I am going to try and get to it next year. And then finally for 2024, I'm going completely balls to the wall with a, oh, why did I just say that? I am going, huh?
Why did you say that? You never said that.
I am going to go completely out there with a wild card, and I'm going to be reading poetry. Yep, you heard that right. You're not on the wrong channel. K-Beth Bookish is reading poetry next year. When Ren and I were in Scotland I keep forgetting that it's in the same year that we did this. It feels so long ago now. But earlier this year, like back in January for my birthday, we went to Edinburgh. While we were there, we both were picking up books like that were either set in Scotland, written by Scottish authors, or even better, set in Scotland and written by Scottish authors. And I picked up Jenny Fagan's, I'm so prepared for this video, I didn't even write down. I just wrote Jenny Fagan poetry. I didn't even write down the name of the collection. That is how great I am at this. I'm taking a chance. It's a Scots poetry, so it's got not only English, but it's also got the Scots language written down. And it's just this collection of poetry to do with the wild, and like the cover alone, I just adore. But if I remember rightly, this is just a poetry collection about the wilds of Scotland and sort of about culture and Scottish culture. If I'm wrong, I will put a blurb up here being like, you dumb bitch, this is what it's actually about. I'm pretty certain that's gonna now be showing on the screen because, you know, I like calling myself out. So yeah, I was like, do you know what? Let's take a chance and let's throw in a wild card. Let's get some poetry in there and try and complete 2024. This is just 5 books that I feel like, for one reason or another, they need to come off my shelves. Either I've been really excited for them, just have been too scared to read them, I've just been intimidated by them, or I just need to decide whether or not I'm going to DNF them and move on with my life. Those are the 5 books that I've chosen to represent 5 years of bookish collection, I guess. Let me know in the comments, do you have any books that you have been holding on to for far too long and just need to get off your shelves? Because, you know, if they're on your shelf for 1 more year, you may actually go crazy. So let me know in the comments if you have any books like that. Thank you to Ellie for the inspiration for this. Like, I've had a great time going through my videos and seeing what I've hauled and deciding what to pick. Most of them were actually quite easy and I was like, yeah, I know exactly what I'm choosing, but a couple I did struggle with. So thank you for that inspiration. I'm gonna do my best and I really hope that I do manage to succeed. But obviously I will check in with you towards the end of 2025 and let you know. But for now, I hope you're all good. I hope you're staying safe. Don't forget to check out my Patreon and Etsy, both of which are listed below, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.